Well, for years, they've hidden in the shadows, traumatised by their experiences and fearing reprisals if they spoke out. But now those ordinary Australians who've managed to escape a religious cult have found a united voice, one they've taken all the way to Canberra.
Their intention is control and money and power. If you knew that ahead of time, you would never join. You'd never walk in the front door.
These are the people who've escaped the indescribable. Ex-cult members or those whose loved ones were torn from their grasp by shadowy groups who preach love, but who tolerate nobody else's view but their own.
The fact that you have probably been basically brainwashed into doing what you're told and feel that you're the one in the wrong.
Now they've come together in an Australian first, demanding an end to lives that are thrown into turmoil in the name of religious freedom. No matter what the name of the cult, former members all tell the same story of mind control, loyalty tests and complete and utter subservience to the cause. But more and more of them are coming forward to tell their stories, and now they say it's time for our political leaders to listen as well. What they want is to hold to account the secretive. The church has made rich off the backs of their devoted brethren. And fight for those without a voice who upped and left their families with virtually no notice and haven't returned. John McAlpin convened this gathering. He was born into the exclusive Brethren where he spent his first 36 years.
We do not support the human rights abuse which the behaviour of cults leads to.
So many stories, like Helen Pomery's.
This type of abuse has been going on secretly, undercover, for decades.
Helen's an ex-member of Brisbane Christian Fellowship. She's been thrown out and cut off from 2 children and 3 grandchildren for more than a decade. Her husband Graham remains a church elder.
I know of women who have had their husbands read the odometer reading of the car in the morning and read the odometer reading in the night to find out, does the mileage of the car match the story with where that woman has said she has been that day.
This is Christian Fellowship's leader, Victor Hall.
Are you a cult? Because that's what these ex-members are saying.
It's not just the Fellowship, but other movements that ex-members say operate in a similar way, in which parishioners pay the highest price of all, and outsiders are simply not tolerated.
Yeah, now, off the property.
What's left behind is often misery.
Of course, they've turned her against her own family. They've caused her to believe that her own family are Satanists.
Nathan Zamprogno's wife Kylie was convinced by members of a secretive sect that she had multiple personalities, even encouraging her to write like a child. Her drawings, her husband and a 6-year-old son were all left behind when she walked out the door 3 years ago.
What I'd say to these people is, if you call yourselves Christians, then the proof's in the pudding. You have robbed a beautiful lady of her family, of her son, of her name, and that to me is evil.
Lynn and Fred Barnett lost a daughter.
She just came home one day and said, "Oh, Mum, I'm going to meditation classes."
And how long ago was that?
This was in 1994-5.
Not a high-profile religion like some, but like every other secretive organisation that preys on its followers, cults like to operate in dark corners under the radar, away from public scrutiny.
Cults love the word new religious movement. They hate the word cult.
At least those who've escaped the clutches of whatever cult it is they've fled have the courage to put their names and their faces to their stories.
We are not against any kind of freedom of religion or freedom of association. What we would say is that there is conduct that society says transgresses a boundary, and it's damaging.
And now they're marching on Canberra, demanding changes to laws which they say destroy lives, to spare others what they've already been through.
They are not accountable to anyone. They're not accountable to the government. They have no controlling group. When they abuse you, they get away with it scot-free. If they can harm the families in our nation, then they are harming the fabric of our nation.
And those at today's conference will meet with several MPs tomorrow to put their case in person.